I need a Synology disk station so my data is redundantly saved. I have about 21 terabytes of info right now. What would you recommend I buy? I would like something that is reasonably priced and that I can grow with storage wise. Also, I know there are certain drives that are recommended to be used with the disk station. What drives should I buy and how big should each drive be so that I have room to expand?
Yeah. So there's a couple. These are great questions, right? What do you say? 21 terabytes of data. That's a lot of data, right? But with the right size drives, you could definitely get away with a 4-bay Synology on this, a 4-bay NAS, I should say. And so, to me, is it the, 425 plus, the 925 plus, or maybe the 1525 plus, right? Note that none of the 2025 and later Synology units support hardware transcoding on Plex because of Synology's decision not to pay the Intel licensing fees for use of the GPU for transcoding, even though the GPU is right there. So there's no hack around this, I suppose. I mean, I guess if you were to compile your own kernels and do things, maybe, but it's not going to happen, right? So that's something to bear in mind. But those are the units, and I'll put a link to kind of the Synology comparison tool where those units are all right up there, so you can kind of get a sense of how many drive bays are in any of these. And I put the 1823 XS Plus up on there too, in case you want to go with like way more drive bays. But it's either 4 or 5 bays. The CPU doesn't really, I used to lean towards the Intels because of the hardware transcoding, but the AMD Ryzen CPUs are great sort of for this class of Synology NAS in terms of CPU horsepower. So kind of pick the one that fits for how many drives you want to get and how many, what you want to do there. But that's what I would do. And then also, Synology has this RAID calculator that allows you to see how much storage you're going to get with the drives that you're going to put in, and it's kind of fun to play with. But it will show you, okay, look, if you're going to put in 3 4 terabyte drives and 1 6 terabyte drive, how much storage am I going to get out of this, and how much storage am I going to be sort of leaving for the future, unused space, if it were, right? And you will have some unused space if you have mismatched size drives in some cases. Synology allows them with their SHR RAID type, the Synology Hybrid RAID, which is great. But what will happen is you need to have, every drive needs to have at least another drive in your array that is the same size in order for it to be protected. And you need to be for one drive of fault tolerance. So if you have all 4 terabyte drives, great. If you have 2 4 terabyte drives and 2 6 terabyte drives, great. That all works fine. You're not wasting any space, right? Because every drive has at least another drive in there that's the same size. But if you have 3 4 terabyte drives and 1 6 terabyte drive, you're going to have about 2 terabytes of unused space. It's not wasted space. It's unused space. Because if when one of those 4 terabyte drives either fills up or if you want more storage or it dies, right, and you replace it, well, now you get to take advantage of that extra storage that has just been sitting there when you put a 6 terabyte or larger drive in. I will often upgrade you, and you always, one rule with Synology is you have to, when you put a new drive in on the same volume, it has to be the same size or larger than your largest drive. So what I often do is just keep upgrading. When I have to replace a drive, I take whatever my largest drive is and I put something in that's bigger than that, because that forces me down a path where I'm going to keep expanding my storage. It's gotten to be an expensive habit, by the way.
Yeah, it is.
but it works, right? It keeps me moving forward There's always unused space, but that's okay. Like it's fine. I'm banking on the future with that, and it works. I say there's always unused space. That's not necessarily the case. As long as my drives, only when there's one drive that's larger than the rest. But sometimes it'll be like, all right, well, there's 2 drives that I need to replace, so I'll replace them both with 20 terabyte drives. And okay, fine. But those 20 terabyte drives don't come cheap. And now I don't know what we're up to on the Macs. So there were other questions though, right? Was there something else? Which drives to get?
Which drives to get? Yeah.
Yeah, don't get desktop grade drives. You want to buy NAS rated drives or at least enterprise grade drives because these are going to be running all the time. And your desktop, I've used a NAS with desktop grade drives. It works, but they die fast. They're just not built to be beat on like a NAS is going to beat on a drive. So getting NAS grade drives, I think the Western Digital Reds are those. The Seagate makes a couple. I really like the Seagate EXOS drives. Those are what I've kind of standardized on in mine. There's the Iron Wolf drives. I had issues. I think I got some of like the beta or early release Iron Wolf drives. I had a lot of problems with Iron Wolf drives early on, so much so that I just stopped buying them. Other people have said they work great for them, so your mileage may vary, might be different than mine. But I couldn't wait to get those Iron Wolf drives out of my Synology and get them over to the Exos drives were great. And it's been a little while since I bought a drive, so I don't want to say, but you can find them on Amazon, you can find them on Newegg. B&H Photo sometimes has drives. There are times. There was a long time where I was buying the Seagate, like you could buy the whatever size it was. Let's say it was $300 for the 12 terabyte Exos drive. I think it was a 16 terabyte Exos drive if you were buying it bare metal, which is what you need, right, to put in the Synology. At the same time, for $210, you could buy the 16 terabyte external Seagate drive, which if you crack the case open was a 16 terabyte Exos right inside. And so I was like, all right, well, I don't mind cracking the case open and just stripping the drive out. So you shuck the case and, put the drive in, and it was okay, $210 instead of $300. But I don't know if that's the case now, no pun intended. So check that, So that's what I got.
Yep. I mean, I've been buying the Reds for years now.
Okay, that's good to know.
Had issues.
And those have worked well for you, I assume?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, good.
I forgot what I bought, but I bought them through Amazon. I knew they were NAS rated.
Yeah.
What do you think? Is it a beefier motor in there, you think? Is that the...
Yeah. That's a really good question, Pete. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I just know that it's built not to fail. It's probably, I don't know. I don't want to guess. But yeah.
Better cooling, bigger motor, something.
Maybe.
Engineered differently.
Engineered differently. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.